It's nice to be back here again. And I say good morning to my people at home. My fathers, my mothers, my brothers, sisters, and my friends at home. It's your son that is here again as usual, Bayo Adelabu, the APC gubernatorial candidate for 2019 general election. Good morning, and I wish you a happy and prosperous new year.
Many thanks for joining us. It's a full team, like I said. Demola Babalola, this is Mr. Babal, of course, now it's The Punch. And Demola and Daria Adekombi, Nigerian Tribune. We have the online community represented here by CQ. Let me first congratulate you. The last time you were here, we had, last year, a great conversation. You were still an aspirant to the platform of APC. But I do remember in our conversation last year, there was something authoritative about the assurance you had that, comrade concern, you believe you will eventually pick up this ticket. Private conversation we also had. You kept on assuring me. You keep telling me that, look, Mayor, I will get this ticket. It happened. It played out. My first question really to you has to do with the fact that if you look at the primary season, has always been very acrimonious in every political party because the same member of the same family desire the same thing. There will be bloodbath, there will be fight, but eventually somebody will emerge, and in your case, it happens to be you. Could you tell us this morning how well have you been able to soothe the nerves? How well have you been able to rally around opponents and supporters of those who did compete with you fiercely in the last election as we speak this morning?
Thank you very much. Firstly, let me thank the Almighty God for making a day like today possible. Like you said, last time I was here, I was an aspirant. But by the grace of God today, I'm the candidate of APC. I owe it to nothing more than God. God did it for us. And my confidence, as I displayed while I was here the first time, was born out of nothing but belief in God, believe in myself, believe in my credentials, believe in the leadership of our party, and also believe in the credibility and transparency of the primary election process in APC. That's what gave me the confidence there. And I thank God that all these my beliefs were not misplaced. And that has given me even more confidence to confront the general election. Be that as it may, like you asked, it is true that if over 20 people were aspiring for the same position, even in the family, there is bound to be disagreements, there's bound to be competition, there's bound to be face-off. That we did not fight, there was no war. It was actually a war of love. You understand? Because we believe that we were still under the same roof. So, and I was also lucky that almost all the candidates, all the aspirants under the APC for gubernatorial candidature were all matured. They were all exposed. Sincerely, they were not politicians they are not the conventional politicians that saw the aspiration as do or die. They all had the love of the state in mind. And these are people that have actually acquired a lot of achievement in their own right. They were professionals. I mean, these are first-class holders, these were engineers, these were lawyers, SAN, people that have gotten to the peak of their career. And the only thing that made them to want to come and serve is the love of the state. So they don't make it a do or die. So when we reach a consensus, a lot of them agreed to step down. Like I made it a joke that day that we only agreed to step down for the youngest person among us because we were all qualified. You understand? I mean, someone that is a partner in the world-class consulting firm, and SAN, someone that's a lawyer that's reached the peak of his career. You also have people, medical doctors, surgeons, you know, that have made a mark in their chosen career and profession. And they only came into politics because of love of the state. And when we decided to pick one person, they all ran around. We didn't have to dissipate so much effort on reconciliation. You understand? Everybody understood what happened, and they all pledged and they committed to stand by the party, to stand by all our candidates, not only at the gubernatorial level, but senatorial, House of Representatives, and State House of Assembly level. If a particular aspiration is a good aspiration, you have more than one person that wants it. But at the end of the day, it's only one person that will emerge. And the hallmark of an aspirant is to accept his fate and face the future. Because we are all better off if our party comes tops in all these elective positions come February 16 and March 2nd this year.
So are you saying?
So we don't have any problem.
Are you telling us that you succeeded to a larger extent in healing the wounds? The supporters of your first opponents at the primary are already with you as we speak.
I can assure you that. Let me tell you, there were no wounds because there was no victor, there was no vanquish. You saw how peaceful you won. I came tops, not that I won, but there was no fight. You know, because I mean, you were on the field that day, or you were not there, you were listening to proceedings at the field. We resumed at Adamasimba Stadium, 10 a.m. on the 31st of September. We did not leave that field until 6 a.m. on the 1st of October. No single person left that field. In fact, people were coming and adding to the people on the field. That goes to tell you that that process was so transparent, it was credible, and was acceptable to virtually everybody. So there was no wound because there was no victor, there was no vanquish. We were all winners. It was more of a consensus. And let me tell you, I'll be exaggerating if I say, oh, nobody has ill feelings here and there, but it was minimal. So it didn't really cost us so much effort to bring them back to the fold. As I'm telling you, all the aspirants, all their supporters, they are right behind me. They are behind the party. And a lot of them are even part of our campaign committee, to blow your mind. So they are ready to put everything they have behind us to ensure our electoral.
So you have unified.
We are in unity.
Still on political issues before we go to policy. I'm aware. I've known you for years personally, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you. You probably know as I speak now. Since the moment you got the APC ticket in the state, if you look at public perception of you prior to your getting the ticket, and now that you have gotten the ticket, the truth is this: you will agree that you are getting more attacks now from opponents, from whoever that believes they have reasons to attack you. And I tried to sieve it. And I did see that your party in the state, and of course your leader, Governor Abiola Ajimobi, in the last 7.5 years, he's done a lot of good things.
Yes.
He's also taken some hard choices. Those choices, as I speak, are big issues in the heart and mind of the people of the state. And for some, stepping through those attacks against your personality, I'm seeing transfer aggression. How do you explain to the people of your state to see you as who you are and not necessarily visit the saints, perceived saints? I know you. A lot of people know you. But we could see what's been playing out the last couple of months.
Thank you very much. This is a very, very good question, and I'm happy that you brought it up. So let me first confirm to you that I'm better off being in this position than being in contesting under opposition party. Let me tell you why. It is very hard for you to separate. It's more like a threesome. The candidate is there, the platform, which is the party, is there, and the incumbency is there. The three have to come together to become one. You cannot separate the candidate from the party. You cannot separate the party from the good work of the incumbents. And these are things that we are using. And
you cannot separate from the bad work of the incumbents.
I'm telling you, let me tell you, even in the exams, nobody pass an exam by 100%. Except you already had Orijo or something. You understand? But what we all pray for is, let our good work surpass our bad work. Let me tell you, if Governor Ajimobi and the current administration has scored 80% in his, by my own estimation, I'm even being modest, I will explain to you. I have a lot to leverage on the 80% work he has done. Security, we all know, is not disputable. In the last 7.5 years, we have enjoyed peace and tranquility in this state. which you know what it is compared to what we used to have before he came on board. No major crime. Nightlife is there. You can drive around Ibadan or your state anytime. Fine, we can improve on it. Number two, look at the kind of infrastructures that we have experienced in the last 7.5 years. It's comparable to whatever obtains anywhere in the world. Look at the roads that we have. Roads that will last decades. Not roads that you do 2 years, you go and re-award the contract. Look at the reform that the man has done in education. Fine, we have not gotten to the El Dorado. But you can see consistent improvement. I'm a living witness. I heard one of the school governing council, like I used to, I keep saying, like a grammar school. Go and check the place there. Demola Babalola is there, your colleague. He can attest to that. So, go to Lagos Grammar School. This is what we want to replicate across all the schools in our state. Look at the reform that we have in health. The specialist hospital in Adeoyo, go and check what they are doing about it. We are introducing the primary health care system. The dispensaries across all local governments. Maternity homes across all local governments. We are planning to even do recreation centers.
We'll get to policy. We'll get to policy. So, you are reading out those good things.
Those good things that the man has done. Today, I can stand and be proud to say that Governor Ajimobi is my governor. How many governors in the past can you beat your chest and say, this is my governor? Open your mind, please. Just be very objective. For the first time in the last 20 years, we can say we have a governor that can stand tall among the committee of governors. The presentation, you know, the man is humane, I can tell you that. The man is civil, the man is exposed. He's a fine gentleman that has the interest of your state at heart. And he has done all this. But let me tell you, nobody can finish it at a go. You must leave the stage and give room for the next person coming, which is why I call him the initiator of good governance in your state. When you are initiating, you have a lot of fights to fight, a lot of hurdles to cross. This man has survived all these hurdles. We know your state. We know it is not easy to introduce good governance. There are saboteurs here and there, but this man has survived it, which is why it appeared a bit slow. Now, we have reached the foundation level. We just need to start building the blocks. So you need an accelerator. Someone that will accelerate.
So are you saying that Oyo State people should not judge you based on the shortcoming of Governor Abia?
I'm coming to that. I'm only reading out the good things. Okay. I will talk about the areas that require improvement, not shortcomings. Okay. Because that is the burden of leadership. You've got choices to make. At times, good governance at times may be hard on people. It's not everything that is good that you want to agree with. But if you have a passionate leader, a leader with your love in mind, you will do things that you're supposed to have, not things that you want to have. Everybody wants to stay in his comfort zone. But for you to improve in life, you must leave your comfort zone and face some challenges. After the challenges, then you see that it's sweeter at the other end of the fence. So I'm saying those things that you call bad things, they were only hard choices. But let me tell you, the end will justify the means.
It may not be popular now.
It may not be popular now, that's what I'm saying. The end will justify the means. Let us wait and see. Let me tell you. Even the Bible says, but with the benefit of hindsight, looking back, you thank God that you allowed it to happen. I can assure you, in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, we will thank God that Ajimobi took all these steps on our behalf. I can assure you that. Now, the accelerator is here. I'm not saying he's a saint. I'm not saying he's a perfect person. Nobody's perfect except God. Those areas that require improvements, that is why I'm coming. There are some policies and programs of government that could be applicable 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But with the dynamism of our environment, you understand, they may no longer be applicable. Those are the things that we will sit down and review and change it. Probably you understand why it took those decisions then. And I'm appealing to our people. We need to exercise a little more patience with our leaders. The burden of leadership is heavy. Leadership, the governance process is hectic. Whoever has decided to volunteer himself to the service of humanity, we should credit him first before we start criticizing all his good intentions, because we are not feeling the impact, positive impact, immediately. The impact could be medium term, it could be long term. But there are some quick wins that you can easily see. You see the roads, oh, they've done our roads. You see security, oh, we have security. There are a lot of things that a lot of developed countries leverage on. The positive impact don't come immediately. It could take, there's a long gestation period. It could take 2 years, 3 years. And it's a bold and courageous leader who does not mind what people say about him, except to take his people to the El Dorado that will take such steps. Those fearful, those cowards that only want to play to the gallery, they will not take such steps because people will not see immediate positive reason for taking it. But if you have the love of the state in mind, you love your people, and you want to see your state transformed, you take that risk of taking those steps. Those are the things that Governor Ajimobi did, and we are complaining today. But tomorrow we'll laugh. And I'm coming here to compliment, improve upon all he has done, and even do more. And you can see I'm a younger person. So I can move from pillar to post and run around. So you should expect that with the base and the foundation he has provided for me, I have a lot to leverage upon. Thank you very much.
Strong word coming from Chief Adebayo Adelabu this wonderful morning. Is still Trilani the Manida, live here at the Southwest Political Headquarters, where we report, you decide. The team are eager, but the mayor is still in charge. We will have a break. Now, away from politics. You just touched on what Governor Abiola Ajimobi did initiate while he was there, and how you intend to accelerate. Let's start with education. Your vision, your dreams to take education to the next level.
Thank you very much. Before I go into that, let me quickly conclude my last discussion by saying that I told you that I actually feel better off contesting under APC because I have a solid platform to leverage upon. You know, other candidates, what can they point at? Is it the 16 years of rot in Nigeria? Is it people that brought us to this level that we are? They were trying to clear the mess and start all over. You understand? So I believe that the best thing for any nation, for any state, is to allow continuity, consistency in the implementation of programs and policies of government. That's why you can accelerate the positive impact on the lives of our people. We have seen it play out in Lagos. 19 years of progressive government. Tinubu came and did his own. Fashola leveraged on that. We saw the acceleration when he came in. Ambode came, you could see. Because when I give you examples, these are examples that are verifiable. They are not in the air. You know, they are just not examples that you won't need to walk far before you get to see the evidence. You understand? They are not abstract. So thank you so much for that. So on education, I think I mentioned the last time I was here, but now I will repeat it. The platform for development of any nation is directly related to the literacy level and the level of training and skill acquisition of its populace. So education is something that must not be taken with a light hand. You understand? So we are going to pay a lot of attention to education. Out of our 7-point agenda, 3 are actually elevated as priority sectors. Out of the 3, education is one. I want to attack education right from the basic primary and post-primary education, which I believe, and that's what happens all over the world, it should be free. Government must invest in its people. A government that is governing a literate populace is better off than a government that has a large proportion of its populace as illiterates.
Most legislators may not like what you say. They prefer their community. I mean, it's easier for you to manage people who don't know their rights.
Well, I told you that. Let me tell you, if you want to make everybody happy with your actions and policies, sincerely do not come to politics. You are better off selling ice cream. I'm telling you, you are better off selling ice cream because leadership is not a popularity contest. It is you having a vision. It is you having a mission. Those visions, those missions, they are not things that you can achieve just easily like that. You are bound to meet obstacles, you are bound to meet challenges, you are bound to meet resistance, even from the people that are supposed to be the beneficiaries of this your vision.
So it's your best interest to get your people educated. We will have a break. Let's have a break. Hold on a second. We want to have it now. In the history of the state, deputy gubernatorial candidates debate will happen here this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. Phase 1. Phase 2, Sunday, 4 p.m. All parties will be here.
Thank you very much. Like I told you that we are going to go back to the basics when it comes to education and its transformation in Oyo State. We'll start from primary and post-primary education, which is primary and secondary schools. We believe that it should be free, and I've told you that it is not only for the benefit of the students, but also for the ease of governance for the government.
That's the breaking news. You are saying education and primary secondary school should be free?
By God's
Are you
grace.
going to break away from the current policy?
It is currently free.
They're paying 1,000 naira in secondary schools.
1,000 naira.
And I'm just
For
asking
3
you,
months,
is it money?
sincerely,
Are you going to
is
stop? Are you
affordable.
scrapping that 1,000 naira, or you will retain it? Because you just said it's free.
Education at the primary and secondary level will be free. Yes.
We have you on tape. No problem.
Will be
Please
free.
go ahead. Okay.
Because let me tell you about this. As a parent, pay 1,000 naira on a pupil for 3 months. Sincerely, is it anything more than free? It is free currently. You understand? So let's leave that for now. We're going to embark on mass renovation of primary and secondary schools across the length and breadth of Oyo States. Because 3 things make delivery of quality education possible. Number 1 is the physical structure
Conducive environment.
and the environment. Conducive environment for learning. And also we are blessed with a lot of established primary and secondary schools with land, with structures. We're going to renovate the buildings. You understand?
Where are you going to get money?
I'm coming to that. That's funding issue. Number 2 is the fact that we need to introduce modern teaching equipment. You understand? The syllabus have to be reviewed and make it to be relevant to today's kind of education as it is obtained all over the world. So the teaching equipment and the syllabus at both levels.
The job's reality.
Yes. Number 3 is, which is the most important to me, is the teaching personnel. The people that deliver this teaching to our pupils. I can tell you that our students spend most times more time with their teachers than with the parents. So teachers have a lot of role to play in molding the future of these children. So we cannot leave them unmotivated. We cannot leave them unhappy. We cannot leave them unincentivized.
Will you pay teachers first if you become governor?
Not only that I will pay teachers first. Sincerely, teachers should be entitled to an additional bonus for being teachers, because they are dealing with our children.
Are you going to review their salary
They are,
structure?
they are dealing with the future of the state.
Will you review their salary structure?
Not just salary structure. There could be extra benefits that will make them better than living other civil servants. I want to give them priority. And when you do this, you're going to have a happy set of teachers that are in custody of your children. They will be able to deliver this teaching service the way it should be, the way your children will imbibe good behavior, and they will mold them in preparation for the future challenges. So we're going to motivate the teachers and give them extra pay. I'm telling you, extra pay. This is what I've done in my own personal capacity. Even as the chairman of Library School Governing Board, we give them extra transport and meal subsidy every month.
Coming 28 in WAEC is not satisfactory to you, this state.
How will it be satisfactory to me? We didn't come 28 this year. Anyway, let me tell you, with the introduction of the policy of the School Governing Council by Governor Ajimobi, we have seen tremendous improvement in results of the state compared to what we used to have. We have the best result in the last 18 years this year. I can tell you that authoritatively.
But you would declare serious
But I'm
emergency
telling you that
in that
we
sector.
have not reached the El Dorado.
Okay.
But we already have a very good foundation. That's why I keep using the idea of the initiator of good governance and the accelerator of good governance. Now we'll deliver it the way you want it to our people. and our people will be happy for it. That's primary and secondary school. For tertiary institutions, let me tell you.
Half of them shut now. Half of them being held by the current government.
I'm coming to that. For tertiary institutions all over the world, tertiary institutions is not free education. We all know that. But we find ourselves in a situation whereby the revenue being generated by our institutions today cannot keep them alive. So government subvention, subsidy, and support is necessary. I believe in that.
You believe in that?
We must.
You will fund
I'm coming.
tertiary institution.
Isaac, let me land. I'm going somewhere.
I know. Accelerator.
We must continue to fund them so that there is no 1 hour of strike. We should pay their salaries. But we need to have a plan when they will become independent and autonomous. If it's a 10-year plan, schools must not look at what amount of revenue do you have to be autonomous. What is your cost profile? That should not be less than your revenue to be autonomous. And you start implementing this plan gradually. It's not only school fees that should constitute the only revenue for schools. Even if you believe that 200,000 is what will make this school autonomous, and they are paying 100,000 now, I'm against increasing it in 1 year from 100 to 200,000. You have a 10-year plan. Every year, you can be increasing by 10%. That is quite affordable. Because anybody that go to an admission with 100,000 naira fee, and you ask him to pay 200,000 the following year, do you want him to drop out of school? It shouldn't be. But if it is 110,000, he will manage. Oh, it's just 10%. And everybody knows that we're going to be increasing fees in the next 10 years by 10%. That is clearly affordable. Number two, our schools must become creative. They must look for other ways of even generating revenues. I've gone to schools all over the world, business schools, Harvard, Stanford, Kellogg's, Columbia University, Wharton Business School. I've been there. I know how those schools are run. Let me tell you, how can you have a school of agriculture that does not have a commercial farm? Not only in primary production of food items or agricultural products, but even up to processing level. What are you teaching? How can you have a school of technology that does not even have any technology firm rendering commercial services to outsiders? Even this common motor garage, a modern garage, and you are studying mechanical engineering. How can you be studying civil engineering, surveying, architecture, and you don't have a consultancy services that can be rendering these services to people outside, and you'll be making money out of it? You understand? Our school must become creative. Number three is, all over the world, you have donor organizations, you have NGOs, you have foundations that fund schools. Where are they here? So our schools, as big as Harvard is, as expensive as Harvard is, they still have a lot of funding from foundations and NGOs. That's the second part. Then the third part here is, what is the cost profile of these schools? A school that does not generate 100 million naira in 1 year has a cost profile of 3 billion. How do you match that? Right from the establishment of tertiary institution, there must be a feasibility of the funding structure of the school. If the gap is minimal, it is easy for government. But if it is wide, government has a lot of other things to spend money on. That is why we find ourselves in this kind of situation. And I also don't support dual ownership of schools. This thing belongs to all of us. It's different from this thing belongs to me.
Like thank you.
There's no ownership when it belongs to everybody.
Like thank you.
Thank you belongs to Oyo State government. So it's sole ownership. Lautech belongs to both Oyo and Osun. That's a wrong model. If Osun believes that they are an owner of Lautech, when they go to establish another university,
will Governor Adelabu initiate move to Oyo to own completely Lautech?
I will do everything possible
also
to completely own Lautech, and will turn it around and regain its lost glory. Lautech at the time in this country was number 4 of all the universities in terms of rating or ranking. At the time, it was the best state university in Nigeria. How can we find ourselves in this situation? You understand? So what has the past governments been doing? Because you can't ascribe it to the current government alone.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If we have nipped this problem in the bud in the past, the current government will not be facing this problem. So if any opposition party is coming up and using LiveTech as a basis to fight Governor Ajimobi, then it's a misplaced priority. But their sponsors, their godfathers, who are part of the people that cause these problems. I will not be a governor and sit down and say, I have done ownership with another state governor. No. It's either I take it or they take it. Yes.
Strong word coming from Chief
Adelabu. There must be responsibility.
We will have a break. On education.
Ourselves to education, because I have other questions. I'll just ask one. Sir, you have delighted us by telling us that Oyo State, under you, will take full ownership of LAUTECH. But sir, the question that people are asking now is the reason for the establishment of TechU. If you look at TechU today, sir, apart from the building that you facilitated, I have not seen any other structure on ground at that university. So will this not be a challenge if you have LAUTECH and you also have TechU that has not fully taken off?
Thank you very much. You can have as many institutions as possible because we have the population too, and we have the dire need to train our children. There is a clear difference between what LAUTECH offers and what TechU offers. Today, one of the major problems that we have for economic prosperity of our people is that we lack artisans, we lack professionals, people that have on-the-job skills to perform a lot of services. We import them today. Let me use an example in construction. Tiling, POP, painting, bricklaying, plastering. When you get a lot of sites, right here in Ibadan, you see Togolese, you see people from Benin, from Cotonou, you see Ghanaians, and the latest, you see Chinese doing all these jobs that are meant for our people. What TechU is meant to do is to ensure that even at an advanced level, to ensure that our people become skillful in what they do. It's like marrying the town and the gown. What is required in the town in terms of skill acquisition, and what can the university, which is the gown, offer? That's what TechU is all about. It goes beyond construction, even in engineering. We want to start training professionals that are technically sound and not just theoretically alone. LAUTECH is a university and provides all sorts of training and courses. If the state can handle both, why can't we have it? Then Oyo State is the largest after Lagos down south of Nigeria. Over 7 million people. 28,454 square kilometers. You see our major towns. It's vast. So having two universities is not too much for us as a state. We are bigger than a number of African countries, even European countries. Go and see the number of universities that they have there. What matters most is what is the funding plan for these two schools. And I believe that once we sit down with the management and board of LAUTECH, we are saying, let us have a plan for 5, for 10 years, and all things will be put in place. Before you know it, government is removing its hands from funding education. Tertiary education should be self-funding. There should be autonomous schools that can not only fund their operations, they should fund their capital expenditure, they should fund research. How many universities today fund their research? No research grants any longer. So education goes beyond the way we say it. So which is why I told you that what we want to also look at is the technical education in other states. When we'll be training artisans. When we were growing up, our fathers and uncles, they were trained artisans. They were bricklayers, they were tilers, they could do anything. With the kind of quality that you obtain in Europe, they will sit for city and guild exams. Do we have that here today? So, which is why you say, oh, our people are jobless. What is their skill? Anybody without a skill is meant to be jobless. Which is why in this country today, social benefit is what people expect more. Handouts, dash, not what they can offer in terms of value and what they can get in terms of revenue. And they say that there's dignity in labor. Thank you.
A question about first technical university has to do with the fact that it is an eye-opener. It is a public knowledge that an average student in that school today pays close to 1 million naira per session. And if you are saying that the government owns this school, want to hear from you what you intend doing in bringing down the level of the amount being charged for school fees. That's number one. Second leg of that too has to do with the fact that many people are misconstruing the setting up of technical university. This tech you of 18. People saying that a number of you have stakes in this school. Can you clear here on this issue, sir? Thank you very much.
Shareholder grants.
Let me tell you, I hold it a duty to this state to use every position I occupy to the benefit of the state and the citizens of the state. When I say citizens of the state, I mean indigenous and residents of the states within the ambit of the law, which is why using my position to support others in facilitating that school, or not the school, the building in the school, because the school is actually a vision of Oyo State government and in their plan. All we did was, and it's not only in Oyo State that we do that at the Central Bank, we do intervention in various other schools across all states. If we could do it for other states, why won't it come to my own state? You understand? I can even tell you that we even do more in the northern parts of the country than we. So it is now that we're trying to bring more down to the south now. When people like us occupy such position and we have the love of the state in mind. I can tell you, I don't have any stake in any education institution, be it public or private. That is not my business. Beyond my official job as a deputy governor of Central Bank, or an executive director in First Bank, my private businesses, like you all know, it is open. I don't do my things in hiding. Real estate, I'm into construction. I've got houses and estates that I rent out to also assist government in providing affordable and decent housing to our people. I'm into hospitality. You could see my hotels all over to promote tourism. When people come to our states, do they have decent and safe places to lodge and enjoy themselves? Then I'm into farming, agriculture, which I believe that. Those are the three things I'm into. And all these three things are also key in governance. If I have trained myself in my personal capacity to do this and I did them well, you can imagine when I have the platform of the states, when I have the machinery of government, I don't have a choice than to take it further and expand the scope of people that I will impact with decent housing, agriculture, and hospitality. LAUTECH, in terms of fee, that is, I'm sorry, TechU,
exorbitant.
In terms of fee, let me tell you, I will not sit here and condemn the fee or praise the fee that they have fixed. A lot of things go into fixing the fee that you pay in the tertiary institution. We have to be realistic. When I get there, I will look at what is the basis of this fee, what is the cost structure of this school, and with this fee, how many students do they have as take-off students? Because it's just starting. It's not even unexpected that the fee will be high because it's only a few students that will be paying them. As soon as the population of the school is growing, even reducing the fee can give you more income. So when I get there, I'm going to look at it. I can only assure you that believe in APC, believe in our party that we will not do anything to unleash hardship on people. It's a progressive government. You understand? That's one thing I believe. And the mistake that we have made in all our other schools in the past, in terms of trying to play to the gallery and making tertiary education free, and the schools are in problem. We should not make such mistakes in TechU. So when I get there, I will review it.
Secondly, you are free, away from it.
I have listened to some of your campaign jingles and promises. For me, I have read many things about your late grandfather, the popular Alhaji Aliko LMS. Yes. And you are campaigning with his subsequent. Yes. What is the connection between you and the old man? Why are you campaigning with his something? What were some of the things he did that you intend replicating when you get there?
Thank you very much. It's a product of nature and nurture. When you say nature, it's your parents and your upbringing or background. The nurture is about the kind of training and exposure that you have. So, when you're talking about nature, you cannot separate genetics. You inherit certain things from your parents. I'm a direct grandson of Adegoke Adelabu Ekelemes. Number one is brilliance and intelligence, which is undisputable, that I also inherited from the man. The man's record in government college, but is still there. But he spent just 3 years in secondary school. His record at Yaba Tech is there. His record at UAC is there. His record at the Western State House of Assembly is there. His record as the most senior black minister in 1954, under James Robertson, is there. Minister of Social Services and Natural Resources. That's number one. And you could see my own academic and history too. If my father happened to be Oyinosi, you people use it against me, won't you? But you tell me, oh, he's the son of an armed robber, so he must be an armed robber. So if my father is Adelabu, why won't I flaunt it?
But they say he didn't support free education.
I'm coming. Who says that?
Oh, that's the story they are pushing. And you are here to say it.
I have the fact.
They say
the man was the first mover of free education.
Of Awolowo.
The man was the first mover of free education. The records are there in the House of Assembly at the Western region. It is there in his book. And other people also wrote about it. He supported Awolowo's free education. This is the man that says teachers should be paid more than other civil servants. I'm not lying. The book is there.
Don't say that, just making stuff.
You know, in politics, there's something you just ignore because they are just false, fake news. Why will you listen? Because these days of social media, in fact, the fake news are even now trending more. People don't even like to read good news. When they read bad news about you, that's what they'll be transferring. Have you heard?
And then it was against free education. Yes. He campaigned against Awolowo.
Yes. Nobody will tell you, number of people I supported to employ when I was in Central Bank. Nobody will tell you the number of people that are under my salary as my employees today. Nobody will tell you the kind of impact I've made on the economic fortune of Oyo State by my investment in Oyo State, which is not compulsory. I could easily invest in Lagos or Abuja, but the love of
the but the state is only the elite that benefit from
all
your investment. The Talakawas, the ordinary people can't come to your hotel. They can't come to your toilet. They can't go to your so-called.
You remember you raised
massive
it.
estate.
You raised it last time.
And you said you have.
My tenants,
I raised it.
Go and ask my tenants.
You keep throwing
my
out
houses are affordable.
I should know. You don't need to tell
me.
Listen, I should know. The media should know. People should be telling us.
Don't let us.
Hold on a second. If you are looking to,
you know, for making noise in Ikoyi, it's all the whites. No, these are our country. You cannot prevent me from building my people. And if you know me very well too, don't you see that trace in me? Even when I was in Abuja, I was always here in Ibadan.
Yes.
If I have not been in the midst of my people, I'm not comfortable. I don't live abroad. I don't like living elsewhere apart from this.
But do you spread well?
When you have the love of your people at heart, then you have the platform to do the best for them. You pursue that best. You will not do anything that will unleash poverty on them, that will unleash hardship on them. Someone again that I actually see as a role model in this is Governor Ajimobi. He loves this state. A lot of people, if you are not close to him, you may think he took certain decisions without considering this. When you are close to him, you know the reasons why he took decisions. It's for the love of the people of this state. That why must we not be able to stand tall in the Committee of States? Lagos State was not better than the Western region then. They have overtaken us because of history of bad leadership. These are the things that we are trying to reverse, which is why we are passionate on continuity, consistency of progressive policies. We will also continue to review those that we believe are no longer applicable as a party. You understand? You cannot get, even election, you cannot win election 100%. You understand? Exam, you cannot pass it 100%. There are things that you do, and some people will not be happy with it. You go back and look at it. If it's something you can review, you review it. That is why I am there. I'm a younger person. I will see it from a different perspective. I mix with you people.
Sure.
Governor Ajimobi is a 69-year-old man. You know, there's a limit to his level of mobility. There are places he cannot sit down that will not look odd. There are places he cannot go as a son of that age. But me, as a 48-year-old man, I will be with you almost all the time. I will hear from you what you want. You understand? And that you are doing that is not going down well with the youth. You must go back and review it. And they are the leaders of tomorrow.
We will have a break structure. And look, let's go to our Greek. The issue of food self-sufficiency, it's always there in the front corner. And I know as you discuss agriculture today, one of the areas where the critics of this current administration seem to always, they're always willing to jump at, is why they admit, oh, he's done a lot in infrastructure. But they are quick to point to the fact that roads in the hinterland were neglected by this administration, which, according to them, occasioned for this high cost of foodstuff. So factor that in your Greek plan. Let us know.
Thank you very much. I told you that I actually have a 7-point agenda, out of which we have elevated 3 as priority sectors. Out of the 3 priority sectors, Agric is one. The 7 are actually security, agriculture, housing, education, health, environment, and transportation management system. You understand? Out of these 7, we have agriculture, education, and health as the 3 priority sectors, where we're going to declare a state of emergency by God's grace. Agriculture, sincerely, I believe, like they say in economics, that an individual, a firm, or an organization, even the state, must concentrate on that area where it believes it has what is called comparative advantage over others. If there's anything that we can say that for your state, it is agriculture. So you cannot take it with levity. In fact, our industrialization that we're envisaging for your state or envisioning for your state supposed to be agro-allied based, because this is what God has blessed us with. Not just little, in abundance. So agriculture is going to be the focus of this government. And even a lot of jobs will be created via the agricultural value chain. Let me start by saying that we have the largest fertile land in Nigeria. I can tell you that. We don't have the largest land, but the land that we have is totally fertile. A lot of things can grow on our land with or without fertilizers. You understand? And in terms of the size, I've described it for you here the last time I was here, that your state, people may not know, it is 20,454 square kilometers in land mass. You may not understand, and for the benefit of our people, it is bigger than the 5 southeastern states combined: Ebonyi, Abia, Enugu, Imo, and Anambra. Those 5 combined, they are 20,300 square kilometers. The 5 of them can fit into your state. And we're not talking about land that is a desert. We're not talking about land that is erosion prone. These are fertile, arable land. So what stops us from making Oyo State the food basket of not only the country, but even the neighboring countries in West Africa? You understand? So what we're going to do is to make sure that we resuscitate the farm settlement model and create more farm settlements and make farm life attractive to our people. How does it become attractive to our people? Everything they enjoy in the city, let us provide it there. You have just mentioned one, which is good access to the farmlands. Governor Ajimobi has done a lot in terms of road, not just within the city, even across towns. You know, go to Isheyin, go to Shaki, go to Ogbomoso, go to Oyo, come to Ibadan. You see the quality of road he has done. So I don't have the burden of redoing those ones. I will only do more. And the more I will do now, we'll concentrate on linking the rural farm settlements, linking our local areas. You understand? So you can see why continuity is good. If another person comes in here, you will abandon all that. No, I don't want to follow what Ajimobi has done. I don't want to follow what APC has done. But the people will be suffering for it. Me, I'm proud to leverage on the good work and foundation laid by Ajimobi, and it can only be incremental, what I will do. So we'll bring growth to our farmlands. And I can tell you, it may sound big idea, then from Moniya to Iseyin, to Okeyo, Ilero, Agoare, Shaki, Igbo, Kishi, who says we cannot bring a narrow gauge rail line to move agri products from these places down to Ibadan to link the standard gauge rail that will terminate at Moniya, from there to Lagos to Ogun, another part of the country. You can bring investors in there. You understand? And they will make their money to be build, operate, and transfer.
PPP.
Because, yes, it's a PPP. Because transporting farm produce from such far places, you can drive 5-6 hours within Oyo State. I was with the Vice President yesterday to visit Igbeti, Igbo, and Kishi. I was looking at the landmass in Oyo State. I was marveled because it was true. We went by chopper, so you could see the entire land. You understand? Today, as soon as I finish this interview, we are going to Shaki to also meet with our people. So we have an understanding of what our state is all about. So having done the access route, then we now talk about farm settlements. You take road there, you take schools there, you take good health institutions to these farm settlements. You take electricity, you take water, you take security, you take shopping mall, even DSTV, you take it there. When you provide all this in a farm settlement, everybody wants to go and work there. They wake up in the morning, they go to the farm, they work till evening, they come back.
You think with that
they will enjoy the city life that we are enjoying.
So you could reduce youth unemployment.
That's where I'm coming to. And I've not really landed. I'm telling you again that once you have all this, then people are ready to move to the farm. You cannot have a fresh graduate that just came from Unilag or Uniport or UNN, Oyo State Indigen, and ask him to go to a farm where there's no light, there's no water, there's no security, there's no DSTV to watch football. There's no, I mean, you must provide all that to make it attractive. Now, they will now do farming. When they are doing farming, it's not just arable farming. They will do arable farming, they will do livestock, both small animals and large animals. This is the headquarters of poultry in Nigeria. We have a climate that is also conducive for cattle ranching. Who says cattle ranching is the sole prerogative of the Fulanis? We are in Okeogun. You can have cattle there. Lagos State, just 1 hour away, they consume 8,000 cows every day. Who says Oyo State cannot supply 1,000 cows to them? Even if it is 50,000 that you make on the cow per day. You understand?
How do you intend to achieve that?
That is.
I'm asking.
I'm coming to that.
Cattle colony?
That is 1.5 billion a month. That is 18 billion in a year. How much is our IGR today? So we can do that. And again, we won't even stop at that. We don't do processing. How can we have cocoa and we don't have a chocolate manufacturing company in Oyo State?
Cottage industry?
Yes. How do we have orange trees, mango, cashew, guava, and all over? We don't have fruit juice manufacturing company in Oyo State. How do we have this amount of cassava? We don't produce ethanol. We don't produce glucose. These are the part of the agri-value chain that can employ our people. It will provide employment for our people. We want to exploit the entire agricultural value chain, from primary production of agriculture to make food cheap, to processing, to employ our people. You understand? And after we have employed our people, we have eaten enough, we now do export. Why must we be going to Abuja every month? We'll take it straight to a level that we can ignore Abuja. Lagos does not send its financial commissioner to Abuja. They will just send the director of the PAMSEC to attend the FAC meeting. But how much are they getting from Abuja compared to what they are generating locally? If we can take our state to that level, then we are now talking. So, talking about agriculture, there are so many other things that we want to.
Because our time is fast spent, and I want to.
Let me no. Before health, I want to mention something. Actually, about 13 agri research institutes in Nigeria. We have 7 established.
IITA, NIOT,
More Plantation, IITA, IRT,
Forestry,
Crane, NIOT, and all that. How much of their research results are we using in Oyo State? You understand? To promote our agriculture. We're going to collaborate with all these institutes and ensure that we use their results and we're able to have hybrid, seeds to make sure that all these cocoa, cassava, cashew, everything, you can grow them in less than 3, 4, 5 months. You understand? So I believe that we are actually, and again, you also need to encourage our farmers in terms of establishing the silos where we can preserve surplus harvest so that our agric harvest is not wasted. Less than 40% get to the market. When you have silos where you can preserve all this, the surplus of today, you use it tomorrow. If you get to London today, you can get fresh corn. But in Nigeria here, it's 2 months fresh corn. After that, is ogi, you'll be using our maize and corn to do. We have silos. Then we now have agric produce board, whereby government can also offtake harvest from the farmers and stabilize their revenue. You understand? So prices of agricultural products will be stable. So those are the kind of things we want to do in agriculture, because all these things start with vision. If you don't have vision, you cannot execute.
Health.
Thank you very much.
One of the low points of this current administration.
Health is the third elevated or priority sector for me. Let me tell you, because we are talking like this because we are alive. And we don't really value our being alive until we get to the hospitals. I believe that Oyo State is blessed with lots and lots of conventional health institutions historically. You understand? We have the UC. This is where health started. University College Teaching Hospital is there. We have the Adeoyo Government Hospital at Yemetu. We have the Adeoyo Government Hospital at Ring Road. We have Oluyoro Catholic Hospital. We have St. Mary's Hospital at Eleta. We have Jericho Nursing Home. We have General Hospital at Oyo. We have Lautech Teaching Hospital at Ogbomoso. Baptist in Shaki. So what are we asking God that He has not done for us? What have we made of these institutions? But before I go to tertiary institutions, our focus will first be on preventive health, which is the primary health care too. You understand? The primary health care system. We must go back to those days of dispensary. Every local government must have a mini health institutions. Your house must not be further more than 1 kilometer from the next health institution. When we were growing up, nobody was going to UCH because research studies have shown that more than 80% of ailments that people go to hospital for, they can be taken care of. So if you have dispensaries, primary health centers are there.
So it will be functional.
When I was growing up at Oluyoro in Ibadan, that's okay I do. When we were going to was Diogogun dispensary. When we have headache, they will give us APC, the white, not even knowing that APC is going to be the drug for Nigeria today. To take us out of our. So I'm coming to that. Now maternity centers too. Recreation centers. Why would you have a local government without a sporting arena? You understand? You have recreation centers. Go to Lagos today. It's not only National Stadium or Teslim Balogun Stadium. Go to campus. You have a stadium there. Go to Agege, you have a stadium. Go to Oroshoki, you have a stadium. Go to Ajegunle, you have a stadium. So we must have local recreation areas because when people are involved in sport, and again, we will continue with school feeding. When people eat well too, they hardly fall ill. If it's possible, if we have the money, we'll introduce it to secondary school. If we have the money, we'll create a food bank, even for adults like you. So you can eat well. So you can eat well. It's part of social service of government. I'm telling you, you can give you food. So
anyway, I'm looking at time 7.
Yeah, the next one.
Okay, a great one. I will veer off the health and give 30 seconds each. 30 seconds.
30 seconds, please. Thank you very much.
30 seconds, straight to the question.
Because I'm involved, and I want to be selfish on this. And that's the truth. I am aware about today. The number of communities, landlords, landowners are apprehensive of the government recent white papers published in the Nigerian Tribune of November 19, 2018, that the government is going to annex 500 meters by the sideways of Circular Road. Sir, you have said it earlier in your opening remarks that a number of things that were good maybe 2-3 years ago may no longer be fashionable. And when you come on board, how do you want to ensure that these people that are being apprehensive today are given a new lease of life?
Thank you very much. Sir, do you feel Oyo State APC as presently constituted is missing the Unity Forum people, and former Governor Adebayo Alao Akala. Then what kind of first lady should we expect from your wife when you become the governor?
And of course, I think we've been getting a lot of buzz about the issue of security levy. Yes. You are in charge of the Security Trust Fund. Whether you will change anything different from what currently obtained, the CCTV project, and whether people will still continually pay levies if you become governor.
Thank you very much. You understand? And you're also trying to shield the city from unnecessary traffic so that people can have access roads to link neighboring towns and cities without necessarily coming to the city. And the good thing about that circular road is that it will encourage development along the corridor of that road. You understand? That is the only way you can open up the state. I can tell you that circular roads will start from the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, that's Oluyole local government. It will pass through Onara, that's Amuloko, Akono, to go and link Egbeda, you understand? Cross Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, to move down to Lagelu, you understand? That Lagelu, Igwelere, and the likes, Erumo. From there, it will link Akinyele towards Moniya. Then you don't go back to Ajibode and Apete and Woton to come to Ido. You understand? So that means it has transferred the 6 satellite local governments in Ibadan. That is good for us. And you're going to have both industrial and residential development along that corridor. That is when it will make sense. And of course, there must be right of way. You know, both left and right of this road, where you're going to encourage such development. I have the map. Demola, let me blow your mind. I've seen it. There are very, very few developments along that corridor. If a total 500 meters is going to encroach into anybody's property, it's going to be very minimal. And I can assure you, though it's a long-term project, a lot of them will be done during Ajimobi. A lot will be done during my own tenure, inshallah. We'll ensure that adequate compensation is paid to anybody whose property is encroached. I know those people are minimal, but you must step on toes for you to achieve
60 seconds as we wrap it up.
Yes. The second one about
Unity Forum missing them.
we are not missing. Sincerely, let me tell you, we're not missing anybody. We're not missing anybody. Let me because I'm not just making out mouth. It is what you can also see. What is the relevance and the political value of these people? When you are building a house as a young man, you're going to use all sorts of materials to build because you just want to have a roof over your head. Once you are settled in the house, you want to change the tiles because you don't believe this is the kind of tiles you use. Let it go. Bring Spanish instead of Chinese tiles. Want to change the window from louvers to casement window. Want to change the roof from the aluminium sheet down to corrugated modern one. That's what we are doing in APC. And I will said, let me tell you that for the progressive to take over government, you need support of some conservatives. But as soon as you take over government, these conservatives will live by themselves, and you have a stronger and a more stable government. That is what is happening. But for those that want to come back, a lot of them are actually severe intention to come back. And others have even come back. We will welcome them. So far, we are going to watch them.
Security levy?
Security levy, let me tell you, it is minimal. 7.5 years of Ajimobi,
will you sustain it?
I'm coming. He did not charge a single kobo. He provided security for us for 7.5 years. We want to move it to another level. CCTV, command center, control center, emergency response. We are saying you should participate. 2,000 naira per month. Mayor, is it too much for you? 25,000 a year.
The people of Oyo State will respond to that with their votes.
We will continue.
I must thank you.
It will not alter our people. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. We've been penkalemized this morning. He's all over the place. I must really thank you.
Benkele will take over.
Let me also say this. Goodbye debate. We will have you on. When next? We'll call you.
By God's grace, I will always come.
Of course, this coming
You're
Saturday.
my good friend, so I must. And for my first lady, I have a wife that will be wife of the governor of Oyo State. Where is my wife? not wife of the state.
Thank you so much. We are done. See you tomorrow.